Welcome back to the LCS and Game 3 of the day, TSM versus Immortals. A huge playoff clash between two teams that are currently in the playoff picture but want to solidify that upward position. TSM, of course, looking to solidify number 2. Immortals kind of in that conversation for 3, 4, 5. Currently, we've brought Prawley in to join us for the latter half of the day. So I'm coming to you first, Prawley, on this matchup. Let's talk about Immortals coming off a tough loss yesterday against FlyQuest, another top-tier team, and specifically how FlyQuest managed to secure that victory through the top lane.
Yeah, sOAZ getting shut down, sOAZ getting dove, and FlyQuest is not a topside team. You know, they had a substitute in with Solo the other day, so playing against TSM, who is our only topside focused team right now, is going to be pretty rough for Immortals. So it's going to be difficult playing against Broken Blade and TSM today.
But I still think it's important that they do try to find a skill-based matchup for sOAZ, because in that game, it kind of made me realize why they've been playing Camille in these kind of like more narrow win conditions, because it feels like they need someone to be the focal point in the early game, and sOAZ is the only one who it seems to be able that they can play around. It sometimes doesn't go well, and like you're saying, it's going to be really difficult against Broken Blade, but I think that's kind of what they have to do. Even when he's on Cho'Gath, you know, most of the ganks are going topside. Like, snowballing sOAZ over the course of the season is the most consistent win condition I've seen from them. And if you can do it against TSM, it also has the benefit of slowing Broken Blade down.
Yeah, I mean, that would feel good, I'm sure. Oh, go ahead, Ezreal. Sorry.
I just want to see them leave themselves with more ability to actually make things happen in the game, too. I had such a problem with their draft yesterday where your primary engage is a Trundle Pillar and maybe a Morgana Binding, right? And PoE just takes Phase Rush, and now all of a sudden you can't actually catch anyone with the Trundle Pillar anymore. You're never going to hit a pro who has Summoners or Hands with Morgana Binding. So it's one of those things where it just felt like if they didn't slam the laning phase, the game was over. And they didn't slam the laning phase, so they just slowly waited to lose. And
yeah,
you need to have engage so that you can choose when you're fighting and actually look for picks and make things happen.
I think too the I have added trepidation just based on the fact that they suffered a loss yesterday to the only team tied with TSM in the standings. However, when we speak about both FlyQuest and TSM, at least more recently, people have talked about TSM as the number 2 squad, definitively better than FlyQuest, and so your opponent only got tougher from yesterday to today.
And it does look like the gravy train kept rolling for TSM. I mean, we were all kind of worrying if it was going to be the 2-0, 0-2 TSM.
Skipped right over that 0-2 week, baby.
Yeah, they took the week off last week. We were shut down. They come back, and it's the 2-0 week again.
Woo!
So that was really good to see. And it was a super dominant game, I would say, just with the Bjergsen roams top and snowballing and his Syndra, like you said. So it continued to solidify for me. TSM is the number 2 team in the league.
Yeah, let's move outside of the top lane matchup. While I do agree, it will be ultra pivotal in this one here, or deciding it today. Across the map, I think Bjergsen is somebody else that we have to continually come back to, and specifically that Syndra performance over the split, 5-0 now on the pick. We're seeing glimpses of the Bjergsen, I think, that used to be in conversation for MVP and really solidified himself as a deserving leader of a top-tier LCS team.
Yeah, I mean, Bjergsen had his sickness early in the split, and I think everyone was kind of wondering what was happening with him. But recently, he has been really picking it up, and especially the Syndra pick has been really deadly. I think last time they played, he was solo killing Eika. So today, Immortals is on blue side, so they have room to ban the Syndra. So that's a pick that I think Immortals needs to take away from TSM, because Bjergsen's just too comfortable with it. He's able to roam, he's able to solo kill. He's a really big issue on this team, so that's something I want to see out of draft today from Immortals.
Well, we've put a lot of focus on that top side of the map, and so as the teams load into Champion Select, my big remaining question is what will be the drafts and how will they choose to index behind each of their top laners today? Immortals versus TSM. Back out to Captain Flowers and Jat for the call.
TSM going head-to-head here again. For those of you that may not recall it, these two teams played against each other pretty early on in the split last time, and it took a very long time for that game to resolve. I believe it was the longest one all split.
Hard to miss it, actually, because it was on for so long. In fact, I think it ended a little bit ago. No, it was a 61-minute game where...
You know, I actually had 100 different ways I was going to introduce that, and I was like, no, 99 of these are too sassy. I'm going to tone it back. So I'm glad that you picked up the sass that I left behind.
These are completely different teams now, is the thing, because it was actually it was a week 1 game, right? It was on January 26th. And a big part of that was TSM lost Drake control. They gave over the soul. I think 2 Elder Dragons eventually went over to Immortals, and it was one of those weird sOAZ split push games with a poke-up. They had the Zoe Ezreal. Fast forward now, 3 months, and we have a TSM who's on the big win streak and looking to be the second best team in the league.
Well, let's see how it goes down, man. We've got Kalista, Syndra, Aatrox, Senna, Aphelios, and Set all banned away. And with a couple powerful top laners in Aatrox and Set off the table, Immortals see a good opportunity to pick up the Ornn first pick.
Yeah, I think it's pretty bold that they didn't ban Syndra. And it depends how much TSM is in win now territory, because Xayah, Rakan, Syndra as 3 picks in the first phase seem pretty likely. Since they're undefeated on all of those combos. So they should actually, they could Xayah Syndra here and get the Rakan on the loop if they really wanted to.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, Syndra just feels so valuable right now. You probably want to go for that early, maybe not.
It's just like Bjergsen Syndra, right? It's always a strong pick, but Bjergsen is 5-0 on it, looked completely dominant. Kobbe's 5-0 on Xayah, Biofrost 5-0 on Rakan. They're debating what to do here. And they actually end up going with something completely different.
Okay, that's a little surprising.
Yeah.
Mostly because I feel like your opponents aren't going to pick Gangplank anyway, because they already picked their top lane. Well, then again, I guess Ornn could be a flex.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll see. We'll see.
This tells me that they're waiting until second phase of ban, and they're gonna allow. They want to allow Bjergsen to be a little bit more flexible with his pick, especially after winning Player of the Week last week. But by waiting, they have lost the Rakan. I don't think they expected Hakuho to just take it, since it doesn't necessarily pair that great with other stuff, but they did it. They broke up the combo.
Let's see what else they want to go for here before that second round of bans comes in. The Jarvan, they did hover for a second. They are going to lock that one in before bans come through. Xmithie has been a very potent part of this team in their wins, and he'll be on a playmaker here yet again.
That's a lot of engage.
Oh, hell
Immortals is locked in so far. Although, if we think about the ways that Immortals actually win, I wonder if that's an Ornn mid for Eika. Right? They've played it 3 times top with sOAZ. They're 1-2 with it. But I just don't see them beating TSM with it, if that makes sense.
Well, TSMC, okay, you guys picked your jungler. It's not Trundle. We're going to pick Sejuani and have one hell of a front line too. So they grab themselves that to really lead the charge and be their initiator to respond to the mountain of initiation on the side of Immortals. And now TSM are deciding, all right, they've got 3 huge AoE engagers. The last thing we want is massive AoE follow-up damage. Let's ban the Rumble.
And TSM, I think, at this point needs, or at least should look for, magic damage in the mid lane.
Yeah.
So the Syndra, I know we said it before. Oh, we are flowers.
Yeah.
You and I are probably getting memed on in Twitch chat so much right now.
Why?
Syndra was the second ban of the game.
Oh, yeah, we're probably we're probably getting NA caster Keck W the whole game.
Oh my god.
How did we both miss it?
I don't know.
Usually if one of us misses it, the other one will be like, oh,
yeah.
no, it was banned. And it's fine.
Yeah.
But when neither of us have, that's 2 people and 0 eyeballs.
Yeah.
That's 4 less eyeballs than you would normally expect from 2 people.
I'll take it. This was big grief.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
We ran it down a little bit.
Yep.
We ran it down. But now that that's taken care of, we're just getting the bad out of the way before the game starts.
Yeah, just go next.
Yeah,
you know, it's like a whole new draft.
Yeah, it's a scrim. We happen to int the level 1. They got 4 kills, so we're like, okay, just remake this. We're not. This is doomed. But we've got.
You know what's
Fluff,
interesting?
Thresh, Misfortune, and Rumble all banned away.
You know what's interesting about people running it down in scrims? Luckily, at least for most LCS teams, the scrim culture's improved to a point where, like, if one team runs it down, they at least ask the other team if they're willing to remake, and then, like, with respect, they try and play out the game and win, because it's actually the team that played normal that has the right of refusal. Basically, it's like either let us snowball or okay, sure, we'll do a new one. But yeah.
Well,
Nautilus probably going with Xayah.
All right, so Kobbe grabs the Nautilus. So we've got even more engage and CC potential on the side of TSM. And honestly, I like this. These are my favorite kinds of games of League of Legends, chat, is the one where both teams have 2 or more champions that are just exceptional at engage, because it means we aren't going to see any of that LCK style resident sleeper, 1 kill every 5 minutes, just wait for the Drake and that's the only thing you're allowed to fight over type of stuff. Oh no. Somebody's going to get impatient. Somebody's trigger finger is going to get just a little bit itchy, and we're going to see him make a play.
That's the hope, because that's when TSM has looked a lot better, is when they're willing to go for it. The AP that Bjergsen would have left is Zilean, but for some reason, I'm wondering what the right combo is for Bjergsen Zilean in this team composition. So many other things are banned. It's like this or Zoe or Talia are basically his options.
Oh.
Just really quickly scanning to make sure those things aren't banned.
Yeah, you're paranoid now.
Azir would
You're
be a really good front-to-back team fighting. Oh! Okay.
That's new. That's new.
Awesome. Yeah, Diana into Orianna. I think they'll keep it in the mid lane. The burst on this slightly reworked Diana, it's been changed for probably almost all of 2020 at this point, having the E as an early dash. But like, if you can land the right wombo with the new R, the burst is so incredibly high, and they have a lot of setup CC to potentially allow the Diana to get good engages. So I don't hate it, even though we haven't seen Bjergsen on it yet this split.
Well, he's going to have either 100% win rate or 0% win rate after this game, my friend. He's either going to look incredibly good or incredibly bad. We're going to see TSM and Immortals.
Or somewhere in the middle.
My biggest hope for this game is that it doesn't last 61 minutes. And with that, we are going to head into a 5-minute break here, once again, to preserve competitive integrity. But once we're back, we will be casting the game live, as has been the case here for the entire weekend so far. We'll see you there. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are once again. Competitive integrity break complete, and we are just about to jump onto Summoner's Rift here for the third time today. A rematch between TSM and Immortals, as Jat mentioned, back in Week 1, January 26th. The last time these two teams played, the only game of the split to last more than an hour. Let's see if they can break that record here today.
That's not.
In a good way. In a good way. I mean, be faster, not be slower. Not like that. We don't want big numbers here. This is golf rules.
Yeah. And as we mentioned during Champ Select, Captain Flowers, the Syndra was banned by Immortals, so Bjergsen had to go to a different pick eventually. The very last pick, Diana, coming in here. Also, the Xayah Rakan was broken up by Immortals early on in the draft when TSM decided to go for the early GP, and really quickly they might get something. They get the flash from sOAZ top.
Yeah, nice getting the summoner spell here very early on from the side of TSM. And yeah, I checked my Twitter notifications as we were in the break, and we definitely had a few people mentioning how we weren't paying attention. One guy said he was literally screaming at his monitor because we failed to notice the Syndra being banned. So don't worry, we caught it eventually. Just
yeah,
took us a little.
those are the moments that you get to bond together with, when people are just completely oblivious to something, and then everyone else in the stands is like, no, look, literally in front of your face.
Well, we're back into the game now. Everything's Gucci. We know who's playing. We know what's going down. Let's see how they decide to play it out. Now, remember that Ornn will not have flash here for about another 4 minutes. And TSM have their blue buff warded by the Immortals squad. Hakuho and Apollo have stepped up into the brush. One Mystic Shot landed onto Biofrost there. And these guys are going to just try to be as annoying as humanly possible, keeping TSM from successfully leashing this buff for their
Ooh, they got the ward too. This is a little interesting, but they do have to go to lane to catch the minions, so basically it's just a little bit of annoyance. The big thing there is they got Dardoch to burn his smite because he didn't actually have vision of whether or not the Mystic Shot could be able to steal it, and that means that Xmithie is significantly further ahead in this play. There's a chance that Xmithie could actually have just ganked top right now, which Broken Blade does have to respect, but instead he's doing blue Gromp to get level 3, and then probably will be topside, maybe to cover the flashless sOAZ one.
Yeah, you always got to worry about the Jarvan level 2. One of the scariest champions in the game with only a single buff and 4 creep score to his name, as Bjergsen just decides to hang back here in the mid lane, recognizing he's in a melee versus ranged matchup, which early on is never a fun time, and Eika will just have lane control due to that fact.
Yeah, and we got to keep our eyes on Dardoch early because TSM has been the best First Blood team in the LCS. They've gotten First Blood in 80% of their games. So usually Dardoch has been exceptional at tracking the enemy jungler and has been really good at communicating with his laners when they are in danger or not, which I think has led to so much success early. And like, for instance, right now, Broken Blade is technically in a dangerous spot when he's trying to push his wave in, but as you can see, Xmithie's on completely the other side of the map.
Yeah, Xmithie hanging around this bottom side. Not likely a play to really be made here, considering their opponents are underneath their own turret, and trying to commit a 3v2 dodge at level 3 almost certainly means at best you're getting a 1-for-1. Kobbe and Biofrost will be comfortable farming up underneath this turtle. They will continue to take some poke. We'll see if Immortals may want to make this happen. Here comes your dive. There goes your root. There goes Hakuho, nearly killed off. The Ignite will not be able to kill him. Teleport was used from Bjergsen to make sure that they were ready to deal with that dive coming through, but it also cost both summoner spells from Hakuho.
Timely teleport, but the fact that they couldn't engage onto Xayah meant Biofrost ate most of that with Aftershock, and here we go. He's flashless, remember?
Dardoch knew that. He knew he was safe to immediately flash to make sure he connected with the Arctic Assault, and that's an easy first blood for TSM.
And that was the window to gank. sOAZ was trying desperately to get that wave into turret, otherwise it would freeze on him. And right as the push is going to go all the way in, he's hoping for the experience of a few more minions. Instant double flash to get the kill by TSM.
Well played from the TSM top side boys as they grab themselves that first blood. However, because of Immortals' farm advantages throughout the map, they're still ahead in gold.
Xmithie actually, I think, ended up getting 2 Gromps right there, so that was good for him early.
Biofrost starting off a good trade for the side of TSM, but it's not going to stay good for long considering Immortals have the man advantage. That's flash from both TSM bottom lane.
So many gankable lanes now with all these flashes being burned. I mean, Broken Blade burning his flash. Dardoch needs to get experience. Otherwise, he is going to end up falling pretty far behind. So quite an interesting early game right now. And yeah, as you mentioned, 10 CS bot, as well as the experience advantage for Xmithie's Jarvan.
Back to mid lane, Bjergsen just dashing around, making sure he's able to farm things up here. Eika does have the opportunity to farm up enough minions to get the CS back in his favor, but Bjergsen will head down into the river now with Dardoch. They have control over it with that control ward that Dardoch is sitting on right now. And they won't go in any further. There's not really anything to go for anyway. It's not like the buffs are respawned yet. There's nothing to really contest for in there. So when the Scryer's Bloom doesn't find a whole lot, they're pretty comfortable here.
It might end up being a bit of a weird game. So, like, yes, the teams do have a lot of initiation, as the doesn't get all the way through. But just because Hakuho denied the Rakan, the team comps just ended up a little bit weird. Like the bottom lanes, neither of them necessarily being optimal. Like no one goes into the game and say, hey, we definitely need Ezreal Rakan, right? You go with something different, but because the denial picks came through, these teams are kind of navigating these non-ideal scenarios.
Ooh, shockwave from Eika, flashed away from by Bjergsen, as Dardoch shows up here to make sure it's a fair 2v2, but a 2v2 it will not remain as Hakuho shows up now to the fight. Biofrost also working his way over towards it, as the Infernal Drake is started up by the side of TSM, but they choose to back away, if only to drag the Drake out. Xmithie is still hanging around. He may be able to contest this one. Immortals are bringing bodies down here into the river as Biofrost goes fishing and finds himself Hakuho. However, Xmithie now has alone time onto the Drake. It's going to be stolen by Eika of all people.
That is a huge win for Immortals. So that Drake looked really aggressive by TSM, but they had GP ult advantage and TP advantage. sOAZ was TP-less in the top lane and doesn't have the global ultimate. So TSM thought, hey, if a fight does break out, we'll win it for sure. Therefore, Immortals won't contest. But because Immortals bottom lane could avoid the engage by TSM so well, not only do they burn the GP ultimate, they also just get the Drake because they were able to win the smite fight at the very end. It was actually Eika's Orianna who did the killing blow.
Nice early game so far in this first 7.5 minutes for Immortals. Grabbing themselves a moderate gold lead, grabbing themselves that first Drake. They're feeling pretty comfortable here. Remember, as I've stated yesterday, mostly yesterday. Yeah, I don't think we really talked about Ornn a lot here today. I'm trying to remember, like, when you do so many games at once, it all gets kind of blurred together. But Ornn no longer gets the Ornn upgradables until level 13. So it is a bit of a delay on when he gets that just massive influx of over 3,000 gold's worth of stats if he's upgrading the big ticket items. So it will be a while before sOAZ has that come online, but we will need to keep track of it once it's there to be honest about the gold in the game. Bjergsen, remember, had to flash earlier to escape the shockwave from Eika, so he's not really able to do a whole lot to get away from this one. Hakuho and Xmithie merely stand guard and allow Eika to grab the killing blow.
Definitely one of those scenarios where you're ganging up on someone, holding both their arms behind the back, and then one guy's just trying to punch. Like they just allowed Eika to punch Bjergsen to make sure he was the one that got credit for it. But actually a really well done game. Hakuho's been everywhere in this game.
Yes, he has.
Allowing Immortals to jump out to that early lead. And to get back to your point,
well, we might not have time. Biofrost once again finding a dredge line down here, but Immortals disengages it. Okay, back to your point.
To get back to your point about Ornn, yeah, the passive been pushed back one level in every scenario, so his own items upgrade later and his other upgrades are a level after, but the brittle damage is down. So like this trade right here, Broken Blade would have about 100 less health last patch. That might have even been like close to a fatal trade, whereas now he's just going to GP orange and potion back up and be completely fine. So the laning is actually way weaker because of the percent health brittle nerfs, since the Ornn combo normally has like 2 or 3 brittle procs coming out.
And as we see both junglers hanging out up here, I think the biggest thing to take note of is the difference in level. Level 5 for Dardoch, 7 for Xmithie, who's just in a wonderful spot right now. Still has about 25% of the cooldown remaining on that Cataclysm before he can drop a big ulti in another one of these skirmishes. But they've got control over the Rift Herald pit. However, by putting that control ward down, they did see enemy vision around. So Xmithie's got to be careful to not overcommit to this while his top laner is back. sOAZ, of course, not having a teleport available to use right now, has Summoner spellbooked away into an Ignite. And nobody's gonna over-index for Shelly here.
Yeah, everybody just slowly walk away. But Immortals is still in perfect position. I think they can actually just take it now once the reset happens. They have... The only thing they don't have up would be Hakuho's ultimate. He would need level 6, but it's not matched by Biofrost anyway. This is looking pretty darn good for Immortals early on, Captain Flower. So sure, the first blood did go over to Broken Blade, but it hasn't really ended up mattering. And this Rift Herald might break open the game for Immortals.
Shouldn't be any sort of an opportunity for TSM to do much about it. That'll be picked up by Xmithie. Remember, once you pick up the Rift Herald, I believe it's 4 minutes that you have to crack the eye, which, considering 4 minutes from now, it'll be just past when the plate timers expire. So provided Immortals don't wait until the very last second on that, they should be able to secure themselves almost a kill's worth of gold in plate money at the very least. Xmithie and Hakuho heading towards this top side, but Kobbe, Biofrost, and Dardoch are all hanging out. They're ready to go. This could be a big catch, and there it is. Hakuho is exploded before Immortals can do anything about it.
That was very risky for Immortals to be there again, because of the TP and ult advantage of the GP. They end up not even needing it. Like, TSM was just able to get the fight won before anything even started, but that, I think, is why TSM was so willing to go for the fight right off the bat and get the kill.
Dardoch moving through the TSM jungle, coming towards the mid lane to provide some help for Bjergsen in case he needs it, knowing that Xmithie and Eika are both pushing up here into this mid lane wave. Kobbe and Biofrost will head back into the top side. Apollo shoots the True Shot Barrage. He'll manage to find Dardoch by luck and Kobbe by aim, but that's about it.
He found like 80% of TSM's fog. Like, he thought, oh yeah, by the way, here's everyone. So even though it didn't hit minions, it actually ended up working out pretty well because they know where everyone is now and they can just start up on the second Drake.
Immortals on it. Dardoch's hanging out nearby, but the rest of the team is just saying, nah, bro, we're not fighting for this one. Just let it go.
All right, another Cloud Rift.
There's not
But
enough Ocean
Immortals-
Rifts in the LCS, chat. I really wish we had more of them. I feel like we never get them.
It's your calming rift, right?
Yeah, the Therapy Dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were a ton of Ocean Rifts watching LPL last night.
Maybe it's because they know
wanna check
that,
the box.
maybe the game knows that LPL is the most bloodthirsty region and is trying to just calm them down a little bit. It's like, you know, chill lo-fi beats to study and farm minions to just try to pump the brakes on the team fights a little bit.
Yeah, sentient League Drake RNG.
Yeah,
Just like,
yeah.
This is what you need
The
right
game
now.
is actually a living, breathing thing, figuring out what's best. But back to the current state of the game, it's still a very small gold lead for the side of Immortals. Bjergsen will take the blue buff here, Dardoch handing that one over to him. Still not that many kills showing up in this game, 3 kills in 13 minutes, so a rather slow early game in that respect. But Kobbe and Biofrost are on this top side. Plate's still alive for another 55 seconds. We'll see if either team can make any money off of that as Hakuho makes his way back up here to turn this into an honest 2v2.
Yeah, I mean, really, Bjergsen needs to find a way to enter into these team fights. He's been pushed into his turret for basically the last game. Like, the whole game, he's been pushed into his turret. And this Rift is actually going to break it. I don't think Dardoch can do anything to stop it, even if he was looking for a move. This is a little eerie, Captain Flowers, because as long as nothing happens while these Raptors are being stolen, Dardoch just kind of waits in the brush. Hi, bot.
Let's see if sOAZ can make the big plays happen here. He gets the brittle, he gets the clap, he gets the smack, he gets the damage, he gets the breath. He doesn't get the kill. He doesn't get the kill.
Last patch, that might have been a kill with the extra brittle
I
damage,
think I
but
would have.
yeah, Broken Blade has to respect it. So basically, everyone's been talking about this TSM 2002, 2002. I have my own little spiel on that, where actually it was 0240, 02, 2002.
Okay.
So it actually hasn't been perfectly symmetrical, but in the streaks of winning and losing, the losing TSM, I think, looks consistently bad in the same ways, where they will set up a play and then just not. And
And then just...
Yeah, and that's kind of what Dardoch did there. He set up in the Raptor pit to engage on the turret push, and then just stood there. Now, like, that play actually probably wouldn't have worked, so is the correct call in the moment to back out. But if a play isn't going to work, you shouldn't even be setting up for it, which is why TSM is falling like 2,000 gold behind right now, I think, is because they're setting up for a lot of plays that won't work and then calling them off.
Dardoch loses half his HP here, but Xmithie's also going to be in a lot of trouble. A nice shockwave from Eika will make sure that the fight goes back into the favor of Immortals. Xmithie with a flash over the wall to stay safe, but he comes back over with the EQ combo. TP in from Broken Blade, but the fight is already over by the time he arrives, and that means TP advantage and bot lane priority goes over to Immortals.
And Immortals is looking pretty good here. The 2-0 Orianna, if Eika can stay consistent, he's got real carry threat in this upcoming game. We know Apollo's Ezreal can be safe. We know Hakuho's a good engaged player, and sOAZ has actually just been handling Broken Blade in these side lanes as the Ornn. So everything really working out for them as long as they can group up and work towards this Cloud Soul.
TSM down 3,000 gold at 15, man. That is not a small disadvantage.
And here's one of the examples where, like, TSM isn't going for these plays because it's not going to work. Like, Dardoch was thinking, hey, maybe we can burst out someone if they face check, but they were going to be a little bit outnumbered. Like, it seems like almost every time a fight happens, Hakuho is there to turn the numbers advantage in the favor of Immortals. And it's resulting in Eika getting pretty fed.
Eika 2-0 on this Orianna. Mercury Treads and not the Leanders, the baby Leanders, the Haunting guys, both in inventory. Now, this is not the super burst, WTF is that damage, OMG Riot 1000 AP one shot, how is this legal build. That is the Sorcerer Shoes Oblivion Orb Ludens Echo. That's the one that just 100 zeros a support in the mid game.
Yeah.
He's gone for a more defensive approach this time. He wants to have the Mercury Treads to get out of the CC that comes out from the Nautilus, from the Sejuani, and he also wants to have more magic resist against the Diana. Haunting Guy is also going to be more effective at wearing down healthy targets like, again, the Nautilus, the Sejuani, and the Diana. So that means at least you're a little bit less worried if you're Kobbe, if you're Broken Blade, from just having a massive chunk of your HP removed instantly by that combo. But he's still very scary on this Orianna. Highest farm in the game, 2 kills under his belt. The man's doing work.
And here they go, Ornn right into TSM.
And
just
all right. I mean, you hit
time.
the mark, and you're out of there.
interesting here. Immortals is actually trading temporary gold with Rift Herald to break another outer tier turret in lieu of setting up for the Dragon Soul. So they're actually trading Rift here for Drake number 3. It's within their right to do so, but I think with the Ornn and the Fed Ori, I would have preferred Immortals just groups around Cloud Drake. TSM, I think, should be very happy to take this trade.
Yeah, seems perfectly fine for them. Again, Immortals don't necessarily have to worry about this in terms of what it means for TSM, because you don't worry about Drakes until the 3rd and 4th one as a general rule. But losing their own soul point condition of then forcing TSM to fight at all points in the future for the Drake unless they want to give the soul over is a pretty big thing to not have for another 5 minutes, as the Gangplank ulti will clear the minion wave away from the topside tier 1 and barely preserve the integrity of it from Apollo and Hakuho's assault.
Yeah, also because Bjergsen got solo turret gold down bottom while the pressure was being used by Immortals top lane, so the guy who really needs the gold the most, because I don't think this TSM team wins unless the Diana gets going, is able to get solo turret gold.
Well, Biofrost gets jumped on there, and Eika once again looking to make the shockwave happen, but a good ulti from Kobbe is going to make sure he gets away from it, and Xmithie is punished. Initiating on the tanky support with Aftershock does not pay off for Immortals there. A good turnaround and a nicely timed ulti from Kobbe.
Yeah, Kobbe perfectly outplayed that, and then also held his feathers for the end of the stasis to instantly kill Xmithie, but unable to get much more after that, as the Orianna's wave clear is still pretty strong.
Biofrost trying to Spider-Man himself away to safety, as Dardoch will walk into the brush and immediately find Apollo. Dardoch's still only level 9 here on this Sejuani. Not particularly feeling strong, but then again, Xmithie doesn't have that level lead over him anymore either. Dardoch's done a good job of catching up and at least staying even with his counterpart, despite the fact that he is 4 levels behind the enemy mid laners. So it's not like he's going to feel invincible when he charges into these front lines.
This is feeling like one of those sad boys jungle games.
Sad boy junglers.
Yeah, this is where they take a screenshot when the solo laner's level 17 and the jungler's 11. They'd be like, "Look at the jungle experience," and then everyone
I'm just imagining sad boy junglers sitting in their raptor pits with an ocean drake, just looking out at the rain, listening to Lil Peep's greatest hits.
Yeah. Well, the reason is like there's so many farm hungry people on TSM that like Dardoch shouldn't take farm. So he's actually just going to naturally starve himself. And then Xmithie, just with the style that he plays, being so present, supporting his teammates, isn't going to be farming either. So we're going to see some really big level discrepancies between, I think, Eika, who will be the farm king in this game, at least as long as things continue in this pace, and the junglers. So it's going to make it really, really hard for them to have positive impact because they're going to be so starved for golden experience this game.
We're also going to see the front lines explode here shortly, and I mean that in terms of power, not like somebody just deletes them, because Xmithie, Dardoch, and Biofrost are all building Gargoyle Stone Plates. Biofrost actually just completed his as I started to make the point. So these guys are going to become much more difficult to just find that instant burst to shut them down.
Yeah, we're set up for some potentially front-to-back team fights. It's actually, if we call back to Champion Select, that is Azir Hover by Bjergsen. Feels like it might have been better if it was an Azir lock. Just because the Diana has been pushed in the whole time, doesn't have the same wave clear as the Azir, probably doesn't have the same scaling, and we are set up for these long team fights with 4 tanks that you need to be able to shred through, and I just don't think Diana is looking like the pick for that since he wasn't able to escape lane and start diving these sides.
Bjergsen will hang out at this tier 2 now, waiting for Eika to push it up. Eika just with total control over this matchup right now. 40 CS above, still building towards that Leandries. I keep switching the names. I don't know why. The completed Leandries, the one that actually gives the burn. And sOAZ has hit level 13, and he's upgraded the 2 most valuable Ornn upgrade items. The value of gold in the Forge Fire Cape and the whatever Abyssal Masks upgrade is called, that's about 32 or 3,300 gold when you add those 2 values together. So when you look at the fact that, yes, this game is 600 gold apart, it looks practically perfectly even, remember that that gold value is a lie for Immortals, and you need to inflate it by a little bit over 3,000 for an accurate representation of how strong the rosters are.
I do think as well there is a little bit of wiggle room there because the gold value added is part of just like the strength of the champion. And also, like, there's only one Ornn item that they can actually upgrade as they're fighting over this mid lane Cloud Drake, which would be the Trinity Force when sOAZ hits level 14. No one else has an eligible item.
Ludens.
Oh, right. Shoot. You're right. It's just people usually wait for the death cap because that upgrade's so much better.
Right. That is true. If you want an optimal upgrade, you do not upgrade the Ludens now. You wait for him to grab the hat after. But yeah, Ludens, Molten Edge.
Right,
Jarvan doesn't have anything you can upgrade. Rakan doesn't have anything you can upgrade. So we'll see how that plays out here. Drake spawning in 5 seconds. TSM with control over this bottom side river, but Immortals not willing to concede anything. Eika's still all the way back in mid, and so is Bjergsen. Teleport not available for Bjergsen. Eika doesn't have one to begin with. He has rotated himself down towards the fight. If Bjergsen wants to join, they've either got to initiate together and he comes in on the flank, or he's isolated and has to wrap around. It is going to be the latter here, as Broken Blade brings down the ulti to zone the Immortals squad away. Xmithie goes over the wall into the pit, and good golly miss Molly. Xmithie does what Xmithie does. The steal comes through, and Immortals will take the objective.
Right through TSM. He actually pre-cast his flag and then just kind of danced for a little while before Q smiting, and now they're going for Biofrost.
Biofrost in some trouble. He pops the stone plate. He's making his way towards the wall to flash away. He's going to live. Apollo with no true shot barrage to hunt him down, but Dardoch caught out now in the bottom side of the river. sOAZ chasing after him. Kobbe, he's in the bush. He says, all right, man, I'll see you later. I'll catch you back at home.
Big fight win for Immortals there. It was actually a little bit peculiar because it looked like Immortals was just only trying for a steal, and then halfway through they realized that they can actually just smash the team fight. So there's a chance that could have been even more one-sided if Immortals would have had a little bit more gusto in the way they initiated, but even so, 1 Drake away from Soul Point, still that 2,000 gold lead, and more Ornn items coming online. So I was hitting level 14 and upgrading the Triforce at the end of that fight.
Triforce upgraded means more power for Apollo. I think that one's only worth a little bit over 1,000 gold. It's not quite the same tier as the Forge Fire Cape and the Big Abyssal Mask. So still a nice upgrade to have on your carry. Broken Blade being forced to run away now from sOAZ. Who says tanks can't win a 1v1? Lots of damage coming through there as Hakuho will force the flash on a Broken Blade.
Ornn doing Ornn things, even post nerfs once sOAZ has this 20 CS lead he's holding. It's actually interesting. Most of the Ornns that I've seen on this patch haven't been nearly as dominant as the ones that were in permaban phase, but this sOAZ game so far is making me reconsider the other games I was watching, because he's looking pretty unstoppable this one.
Yeah, the Ornn is just this huge brick wall that there's nothing you can do about. He's a brick wall that actively moves towards you to fall on you. And it's so hard to deal with.
I also kind of think, at least in a teamfight sense, that Bjergsen's lackluster Diana so far is a big part of why Ornn seems so amazing this game, because you're used to seeing maybe, at least with the double tank composition, like double tanks don't normally pair with an assassin mid. Double tanks oftentimes pair with front to back damage dealers that the tanks are able to frontline for. So the fights have just been really weird, and the damage sources haven't had good ways of cutting through an Ornn necessarily. So TSM still trying to find that recipe for a good fight, which would likely be a Bjergsen flank, but with the vision control and the wave pressure the way it is, he's just never able to find it.
I'm actually curious to see what the damage dealt is at the end of this game, because Bjergsen's 0, 1, and 0, I would have to imagine his damage dealt to players is under like 3,000. Like, there's no way it's good.
It's got to be pretty low.
There's no way it's
got to be really
high.
low.
So I'm genuinely curious what that'll look like by the time we get to the end of this game, because he just hasn't had the opportunity to do the damage that he needs to do. You can see Xmithie sweeping through the enemy jungle here. One ward is placed down as Dardoch and the rest of TSM, oh, they're heading up. They see the silhouette of Xmithie there in that brush, so they don't want to walk into it. They are scared of that red flashlight in the brush saying, wee wee wee, trouble ahead, run away.
That's actually, I love that happened, because it's something I saw earlier and wanted to talk about. Sweeping brushes where people are standing on control wards. The person on the control ward thinks that there's no way you can see them, but the sweeper can actually reveal them. So Xmithie waited there longer, just kind of waiting for someone to face check. He had no idea the sweeper was seeing him.
And Bjergsen, you can see there, jumped onto sOAZ, did a little bit of damage, didn't find a whole lot. sOAZ also building a Locket of the Iron Solari here as his third item on the Ornn to resist some of the burst that may come out from the side of TSM. Eika goes for the Shockwave onto Broken Blade, but a very nice outplay from TSM's top laner in a 1v2 to get a kill and get away. Bjergsen now continues the chase. He's got Biofrost behind him. This is going to be a case of the Ornn punching bag. The damage is just not there. The Ornn
Broken Blade's back
off. sOAZ fires it right back into Bjergsen. Hakuho and Apollo have found themselves the opportunity to free fire onto Dardoch. By the way, sOAZ still is not dead. Hakuho has to dash away right back to Apollo. That's a 1-for-1 trade off the back end of the fight that was ultimately outplayed by Broken Blade there at the very beginning. And it's still going to be a one fight here for TSM.
Eika died with flash heal up, but we have to look at this game right now. 15 seconds for this Dragon Soul. Kobbe actually teleported top lane at the end of that fight, and that Soul, we're going to have to see how that results. So we're going to watch this kill real quick. Eika's just sitting in the middle of the GP ultimate and then gets double barrel chained. I don't think he realized the turret was on him as well as they chase down the rest of this fight, but I'm really interested to see what's happening over with that Cloud Soul. As you can just see, like, how many times Bjergsen has to hit sOAZ before he has any effectiveness.
Yeah, there was no reason this team should ever target Ornn if they can help it. They couldn't help him right here. They kind of had to go for him, but it did buy enough time, even though sOAZ died, for Immortals to get that return kill into Dardoch. You know, normally, I feel like Stoneplate Sejuani is so tanky that you think, oh man, this Sejuani, what a frontliner, man, what a tank. But then when you compare Stoneplate Sejuani to Ornn, the time to die was like triple for Ornn.
Yeah. And also the fact that Apollo was hitting the tank on one side and Diana was hitting the Ornn, right? Yep. The DPS is majorly different, but the big takeaway from that fight, beyond getting a little bit of gold for Broken Blade, is the fact that when they recalled and reset for Drake, Immortals was unable to make it in time to contest, and the Cloud Soul has been pushed back. So now we have Kobbe hitting 3 major items. We have Broken Blade emerging as a carry threat who might actually be able to match sOAZ in sides right now, and we still have a very open game.
Could go either way with less than 2,000 gold separating the squads. 29 minutes in, Drakes are down for the next 4 minutes, but Baron is alive and kicking. Immortals in the TSM topside jungle now, looking for a potential pick on a Biofrost here. Hakuho jumps forward, tries to go for the grand entrance, but won't get it. They do, however, secure the red buff away from their opponents. Apollo with a Mystic shot to secure that. And TSM are right back into the mid lane here trying to defend.
Surely this doesn't go 62 minutes, but it is very
close. Don't jinx it.
Come on. It's a close game. I mean, looking at how hard it was to kill Ornn and how the outer turrets, even the second tier turrets, are still alive for everyone. As we see this fight in the mid lane, good GP ultimate actually.
Biofrost tanking up here on the front lines. Hakuho looking to get himself away, but Bjergsen's able to find the shutdown and the damage. Broken Blade, the only man going to be caught out by the shockwave. And TSM, ladies and gentlemen, they've got a team fight. They get a 2-for-0 and they're on the march to Baron.
Hakuho, as he was jumping back from that fight, got hit by the second part of Bjergsen's Diana ultimate. So a one team fight because the GP ultimate plus the Diana were able to flank. But now Dardoch clearing vision is very low and TSM has to reset.
Okay, so TSM won't get the Baron, but winning a team fight like that, straight up 5v5, feels very good for them and bodes well for their chances moving forward here.
I think it does, but as we mentioned before, Gold's still close, Drake's still close. Watching this one more time, it's really just a matter of like, Immortals initiate, like all their tanks went in, but the GP all plus the Diana made it so Immortals damage could not follow up. That's how TSM needs to have fights happen, because it actually gives enough time for Kobbe to slice through the Immortals team.
Broken Blade continuing to just build up this farm here on the Gangplank as well, working towards the Infinity Edge. That'll bring him up to 50-50 on whether or not it's a crit with these big old barrels finding their way into the into the Immortals lines, excuse me. As checking in on the Ornn items, 13, 14, 15, we should see another item upgraded, but they have not upgraded one because there isn't one to do. You can see Xmithie working on a Knight's Vow, which can be upgraded. We're still probably waiting on Eika to get that hat with the needlessly large rod in inventory. We all know that 2 large rods put together does make a hat, so that's probably what they'll be looking to upgrade next year if they can. Meanwhile, Hakuho has a QSS. He does not want to be caught out of position anymore when he goes in.
Yeah, they are playing the long game in terms of getting the death cap completed for Eika. And I think it's within their right to do so. I mean, we got this next Cloud Drake spawning in 1 minute and 30 seconds. They let the last one kind of get away from them because they tried to play top lane that failed. I think this time just getting first setup on the Cloud Drake, making it so TSM has to walk into the Shockwave in the Ornn ult, will give Immortals the best chance of securing this soul.
I wonder if sOAZ just upgrades the Xmithie Knight's Vow right now because he can. Because I'm not certain if we're going to see the upgrade, see the hat be completed for Eika in time for the fight to break out. sOAZ will have TP available to come to this Drake fight here when it spawns. It's just a few seconds away and the Drake's still 45 seconds out. But I feel like with the fight likely brewing, you would want to upgrade something if you can.
Yeah, I think it would have to be the Ludens if they get anything done. I'm not entirely sure if the Knight's Vow is upgradable. When I'm looking at the support items, it has the Locket and the Redemption as the upgradable options.
Wait, Knight's Vow?
But this,
I thought Knight's Vow was upgradable.
I don't think it is. Yeah.
Not? Huh.
I don't think so.
I'll be darned.
I'm not sure, though.
All the support items just blend together to me.
Yeah.
You got chat items and not chat items. All the not chat items, I'm not concerned about.
All good. Immortal setting up for this last Drake.
It still wasn't as bad as Forgetting the Cinder wasn't banned, so I excuse myself for that one for only making my second worst error this game, as TSM will try to secure the next Drake for themselves. Remember, if they get this third one, that puts them on Soul Point 2. The 7th Dragon is the last one no matter what in any game of League of Legends that it spawns in. Sans Elders, of course.
So they got this set up.
TSM have control. Immortals may once again look to make some sort of a steal here. Remember Xmithie, he did it once, but Biofrost is going to go in and look to shut him down before it happens. Broken Blade with the ulti summoned up. Xmithie with the flag over the wall, and the Drake is going to be secured by the side of TSM, but Dardoch has already been popped. Cataclysm comes through. Hakuho jumping right back out. It's a 1 for Drake so far. TSM will take that trade.
But Flowers, now that the jungler's down on TSM's side, Immortals might just look straight towards Baron, or at least catch Kobbe. That was such a smart check by Kobbe to see that Xmithie was waiting for him.
Yeah.
Because Immortals had the chance to try and rush Baron, but it just would have been very, very dangerous.
Immortals do get a tier 2 turret out of it, so at least it's an objective trade for an objective that they got. But I always enjoy watching these situations where both teams are at 3 Drakes. Everybody's on soul point. The 7th Drake is coming, and both teams know what's on the line, because it rarely ever isn't a fiesta. It always just turns into this absolute crazy bloodbath, and I'm about it.
Absolutely. I mean, we're powering up more and more, and when Eika completes that death cap, the Shockwave would actually be capable of one-hitting Kobbe if he doesn't get his ult timing off properly. So we know that Kobbe has been building pure damage because he needs to. He needs to slice through the tank line of the Jarvan and the Ornn.
Yeah.
The game is just getting more and more explosive the later we get into it, and Dragon Soul is going to happen, we think, in the next 3 minutes.
I would hope it happens.
I mean, hey, we just had that COG C9 game where it's like, it's close. Yeah, it's really anyone's game. And then 35 seconds later it was over. So that's always a possibility when you're this late into the game if someone gets picked.
TSM are starting off a fight here. TP's going to be coming in from both sides. Eika finds the ulti, but it's only on to Biofrost and Dardoch. That's the tanky members on the side of TSM. Dardoch trying to jump away over the wall. Biofrost will do the same. Xmithie comes through, and Bjergsen's going to be the target. Xmithie taking a whole lot of damage, having to get himself away. Bjergsen into the stasis, knocked up in the air. TSM on the retreat. Immortals will claim the win here in the fight, but do they have the opportunity to do anything with it? Jarvan doesn't have a Warmogs. It's not like he can immediately regenerate that lost HP. Apollo and Hakuho moving forward into the enemy jungle. Biofrost and Dardoch both with sweepers active, checking for wards as they make their retreat.
And the Baron damage of Immortals is not that high. So they can't just turn and burn it like if they had a Cassiopeia or a Callista or a Vayne. It's very slow for them to do it. So even if they chunk out TSM, and unless they've actually wiped them, they can't stick around there because then GP barrels would eventually just kind of poke them off the Baron pit or put them at large risk of dying. So we're playing this really touch and go game where we're waiting for probably the next Drake. As there it is, the Mega Death Cap has been completed.
Super Mega Death Hat, ready to go. Eika found his upgrade, and that's what Immortals have been hoping for here for a nice little boost to his power. Speaking of extra power, Broken Blade also has a stopwatch. So we'll see if he gets to debate everybody on Immortals with that at any point, if they think they can grab a kill, and then he can make a big ol' outplay with his stasis. As for everything else, it's pretty standard here, waiting for that Drake to spawn. If you look at summoner spells, flashes are up for everybody in Immortals except for Xmithie. Everybody on TSM has theirs down except for Dardoch and Kobbe. But remember, Kobbe on that Xayah, having both flash and ulti, he's incredibly hard to actually catch up.
Yeah, Kobbe has the agency within him to be able to outplay these fights, but it is such a high-risk game when you're dealing with a fed Orianna the way we have.
TSM backing up yet again. Place down the barrel, shoot the barrel, walk away, and wait for your opponents to walk into another barrel. Immortals, that's like a nice little, these dudes are playing Animal Crossing or something, planting little flowers in the Baron pit for their opponents to clear out with the little blue wards. I don't know nothing about that game, so I think you plant flowers or something though, but that's just what I'm imagining since that's all I've been reading on Twitter for the past week. Either way, Immortals, they clear out the vision around the Baron pit. They're the only ones with vision in there now. They know that Drake's soul is spawning here in 45 seconds, and they want to be the ones with priority.
And unless Bjergsen finds a flank, it's really, really hard for them to fight. So that's why I see sOAZ up on the side, trying to ward off Bjergsen from going anywhere. It's really all about the initiation in this fight.
Oh, they're so close to each other.
Who's gonna go?
Oh, they're gonna go. Something's gonna happen here soon. Dardoch takes a little bit of damage.
Watch the shockwave.
Little barrel goes off. Bjergsen's running away from the side. Knockup comes through from sOAZ. There's the chain CC coming down. Now the charm goes out. The damage comes through. Stasis coming out as Hakuho is now going to be the target. Dardoch there on the front line. Xmithie also tanking up. sOAZ grabbing the kill onto Bjergsen. Dardoch very low. Dardoch very dead. Biofrost going to follow. And Immortals will slam that fight.
And it is Bjergsen who gets caught if someone is trying to flank you, oftentimes, if you can just charge him first, you completely prevent him from being able to get that flank off. Eika didn't even need to land the big shockwave there. There was actually some dis-synergy as Xmithie was flashing back as the shockwave was going off, but because they just got so much damage on a Bjergsen before he could even press R, they take the soul.
Nicely done there from Immortals, punishing Bjergsen, out team fighting their opponents, finally earning that soul they've been seeking for the last 20 minutes, it feels like. And now they're going for the Baron as well. Considering Dardoch is only just now respawning, Bjergsen won't be alive for another 7 seconds, and even then he has no TP. This is a free Baron for the side of Immortals.
Immortals on the precipice of 2-0ing TSM in the Spring Split. Now finally breaking the game open for the first time. Man, this has been a slugfest.
Well, I don't...
Just thinking about the way
15 kills in 40 minutes. I don't know if we can call that a slugfest.
It's so... Just because the boxers aren't falling down doesn't mean they aren't landing punches, you know? There's so many beef balls in this game with the Ornn and the Jarvan. Like, the damage dealt by Apollo's Ezreal is probably really, really high, and I imagine Kobbe is super high on the charts as well now that he's kind of hit his 6 items. But just the ineffectiveness of the Diana has been the biggest story in this one. So as long as Immortals can just stay strong as 5, they look to be in position to win this one.
There's only one tier 2 turret left to take on the side of TSM. And Immortals do have that top wave pushing up. Eika's the one in charge of leading that one there to take this remaining standing gold outside of the TSM base. This will bring Immortals up to over a 5,000 gold lead, plus their Ornn item gold advantages, plus their soul advantage as they try to break the base of TSM. We have seen that TSM are capable of team fighting very well, as sOAZ is saying, all right, Bjergsen, come on, let's do this. 1v1, mano a mano, Ornn versus Diana. Ornn's kind of clunky, so he just sort of charges around. Bjergsen's
He's just buying time.
trying to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. Apollo shows up, he's like, all right, Ornn, 10 seconds is your time limit. You can't kill him by then. I'm swooping in to clean it up.
Oh, man. Just trying to get the wave out so as perfect play to just know that, you know, I know I don't need to kill him. I just know that he can't kill me, and Apollo is just going to meander his way over here. Now they have 55 seconds of death timer to force a potential 5v4. They might not even die. It's really just about pulling TSM back and forth so that we can get one of these inhibitors down.
I like the fact that you use the word meander because it's the most unmenacing form of movement possible. You just... I actually think the meander is less intimidating than a stroll, but Immortals are strolling right into the base of TSM. They take down the bottom lane inhibitor turret and inhibitor with it. They take down the mid lane inhib too, and they are so close to closing this one out. They still got Baron here for another 30 seconds. Still got Bjergsen dead for 10. Minion wave pushing down mid towards these Nexus turrets. Immortals still on full HP. Looking to just grab anything they can here, but you got to be careful about diving between 2 Nexus turrets. Doesn't look...
I mean, there's no way for Bjergsen to flank this one, so they might just try and set up here with their Baron minions. This could have flanked if he get.
What is this TP coming in from Bjergsen? All right, he makes his way over to his own ward, but now the fight's still going to be breaking out in earnest. Biofrost going to be trapped in the Cataclysm, Dardoch as well, but Xmithie's the only man to fall. Bjergsen still looking to chase this one even further as Apollo and Hakuho kite back. It is a 1-for-0, and TSM make the defense. I still don't know what the teleport was all about.
It's the closest he could get to a flank. That's all I'm going to say. He was like, it's, you know, you pull out the old protractor, be like, you know, it's like a 15-degree flank, but it'll work. Like,
oh my god, I'm just imagining Bjergsen holding a protractor up to his monitor, figuring out
like,
the distance
angles
from the team fight to the ward. Oh man.
Either way, it does keep the game going, right? The Nexus turret didn't fall. Elder is up in 150. Baron will be back. They can clear out the waves with Xayah and GP, and they can still get another go at one of these team fights. So the total game time of Immortals TSM that we've seen this split, Captain Flowers, is now over 105 minutes. So can we get to 120? I think. Can we get 2 hours of Immortals TSM gameplay? Is I think the bigger question. It's a really important game for Immortals.
I don't want 2 hours of Immortals TSM gameplay over the course of 2 games.
I'm all about it. I don't know why you're not into this. This is so important for Immortals. Like, they're in the playoff hunt, 7-8, getting like top 4 would be reachable if they're able to win out, and very few people expect them to beat TSM here, but they're looking like they could do it.
And that's why you want them to win convincingly in under an hour. That's what you seek from something like this, I think. What do I know? I'm just here for the ride, man. It's a 6,000 gold lead for Immortals. The Elder Drake spawning in 40 seconds. The Baron spawning in over a minute. If Immortals goes for a play and they end up running it, then TSM do manage to get both Uber buffs at once, which could turn the game on its head. So I want to see just how gung-ho Immortals are here.
I mean, generally speaking, Immortals with the 2 waves of supers could control this Elder. It's kind of interesting how Apollo is up top with the TP Ezreal, making sure the top lane is pushed in. And yeah, TSM, like, if they can take a fight, they should take it now.
TSM, they're going after Xmithie, but now Immortals are collapsing from behind. Xmithie losing about 1/3 of the HP, but now the counterattack is coming in. Bjergsen going to be taken low. The Stacy's keeping him alive, if only for a moment. A nice shockwave finding its way onto multiple members of the TSM lines. Team solo mid, running all the way back down mid towards their own fountain. Immortals, they have a double kill for Apollo. Xmithie will lead the charge. He will plant a flag on the corpse of Bjergsen, and Broken Blade will be chased down by the remainder of Immortals. This surely ends the game and gives Immortals the win over TSM.
And what a win for Immortals, moving to 8-8 and breaking TSM's winning streak. By no means was this one quick, but you could really just see how focused they were to make sure that Bjergsen could not have an effect in this game, right? Like, that last pick, Diana, ended up being a total disaster for Bjergsen and TSM. Eika ended up having maybe his best game ever of the whole split. Like, he was really good on Orianna, and beyond that, Apollo played clean. sOAZ's Ornn was strong. Like, that is a quality win for Immortals, because they just took down TSM, who had just beaten in succession C9 and FlyQuest. So they were looking like they were that top team competing, in Immortals, they just deflate that hype right now at the end of week 8.
Immortals with a win that many people were not expecting. They bring their record against TSM up to 2-0, and now with Game 3 wrapped, we're going to be stepping away here once more to get everything ready for Game 4 for y'all. Once we're back, it's 100 Thieves and FlyQuest going head-to-head. You don't want to miss it.
Every click,
every frame,
every press,
every sound.
they're playing aggressive.
I'll take mid. Every advantage.
When the difference
Between winning and losing,
is measured in milliseconds.
everything.
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 Everything counts.
The Alienware Legendary Battle Station.
It's Jake from State Farm.
Sounds like a really good deal.
Jake from State Farm at 3 in the morning. Who is this?
It's Jake from State Farm.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Khakis? Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.